Well, welcome to another edition of the full 80 minutes on Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. Once again, thank you to all our new subscribers and those loyal fans over the past 4 years who have supported the show. Emma, we think of people like you who've been with us from day one, and new subscribers like Brad Gamester, I think his name was, who joined only the other day and sent a lovely message. And for those that messaged me and messaged the show, we've had quite a few nice comments, Craig, this week saying, you know, great, the show's back and it's going from strength to strength and they're liking the new content. We've just filmed a second Inside the Deal, which will focus on Tony Smith and Danny McGuire, Matty Nicholson and Regan Grace. So we're going to try and expand. That's the idea, Craig, isn't it?
Know it.
That's the vision for us. We want to expand. And
players' profiles, player footage, doing coaching here. We're going to try and do some coaching things so people can see it. So on that, Mick, I were at York yesterday, and big thank you to two people who came up to me. One came up to me earlier on and said, big fan of the show. I didn't get your name, I apologise. Cap, I love it. I haven't missed an episode for 3 or 4 years. And then, as I was leaving, a gentleman walked right across the road to actually say, want to say thank you for the thing is I never miss it. Absolutely love it. Joe were there as well. You know, they were fantastic. It were great. So he put his thumbs up to Joe and all. It was, hey, Joe, me, and give him a bit of banter. So we're lovely.
Like I said, Craig, I'll echo that. I was at Halifax Dewsbury the other week. Halifax fans saying we love it. We love the banter. They're waiting for the Mick Gledhill versus Matt Shaw special. We might do that ahead of the summer batch.
Yeah, Matt's waiting for that challenge.
Hey, listen, look. Matt, listen, me and Matt get on fine. But look, Leigh fans yesterday, I think she was 84, bless her, Nelly or Ethel. She was like, I watched the show and I'm like, oh wow, you know, overcome with emotion.
Do you know what? On that, it's weird you said that because we're talking to Matt and he mentioned doing the journalist one, as in some more content. I think we could get you, Matt, and maybe one other, just like you, get it on, you know, and maybe have a referee in middle.
No, there doesn't need to be a referee, because if you put me, Matt Shaw and somebody else on, we can, because obviously we deal with the RFL, we deal with the Super League, we know, like, we're going to talk a little bit about the big meeting on Wednesday the 13th of July at Huddersfield, which is when the clubs are going to meet IMG. Why they've scheduled it on Origin. I did actually message Ralph and say, Ralph, you do know the chairman are messaging me saying, why have you scheduled this big meeting the same day as Origin, because you're not going to get the full attention, because it's Origin the decider, so they're getting everybody to Huddersfield.
It'll be after it, won't it?
Well, it's 10 till 5, so it's a long meeting. It's 7 hours. That tells you there's going to be maybe not significant developments, but you know, that initial meeting with IMG where the clubs go face to face and they get to get a feel with what's around the corner. We know Ralph did actually put something out in the press last night, this morning, saying there's going to be no change for next year. But there was never going to be any change next year. As we've all said, Jimmy, the structure is still in place for next year. It's how you get to the change in 24, which is why you've got your Keithlers, your Barrows, your Widnes, you know, spending significant amounts of money on their recruitment for next year. So yeah. But look, for everybody who's followed the show religiously, and our new subscribers, thank you very much. So you've got me, Mick the Game Caller Gledhill, Craig Show Me the Money, Harrison, and Jimmy. What we're going to call you, Jimmy?
Jimmy Mac.
Jimmy
Show Me Return of the Mac.
Yeah, Jimmy Show Me Return of the Mac. Right, where do
Jomi's actually on his way.
Oh, Jomi's going to be coming as well. He's on his way. He's getting picked up from train station at 12 o'clock. What time is it now? Oh, he'll be on his way. It's 12 minutes past. But yeah, where do we start? I think we've got to start, Craig. I know we've done a little bit already on the Inside the Deal, but we'll just quickly get your thoughts on it, Jimmy. Just quickly, Tony Smith is basically been stood down. Effectively, he's on gardening leave, so they're going to pay the remainder of his contract till the end of the year. Danny McGuire's in. Just quickly, your thoughts on it. Me and Craig have already done a little bit on Inside the Deal, but it'd be good to get your thoughts on it all.
Yeah, I suppose initially just very happy for Danny. He's you know, relatively, in the grand scheme of things, still new to the coaching game, but I know he's been loving it and working hard. So a great opportunity for him, probably sooner than he'd ever imagined, but you know, probably quite a nice place to take on, isn't it? Where they've been slip sliding, So it gives him a chance to, and let's be honest, Hull KR are probably unlikely to make the playoffs unless he pulls something really special out of the bag, but a great chance for him to give some fringe players an opportunity, give some youth an opportunity, which is what he's all about. And yeah, for his personal development, brilliant.
And this is a chance, we didn't really talk about this on Inside the Deal, Craig, but this is a real chance now for Danny to experience firsthand what it is going to be like as a head coach, because he's going to have to do all the press conferences, he's going to have to do all the post-match media, he's obviously going to have the player relationships, he's going to have to make the big decisions on who plays, who doesn't play. He's big game against Hull FC, for Hull Kingston Rovers fans, that is their cup final, that is the big game of the year. And obviously if Danny does want to eventually take over from Willie Peters in 3 years' time at the end of 25, or he wants to go to Leeds, or he wants to basically become a head coach and go elsewhere, this is a huge step in his development as a coach.
Listen, I find it hard to talk about it just because somebody's just lost a job, so my feelings on that is pretty tough. But if we are talking about, Danny's, it's perfect, isn't it? He knows what he's doing for the next 3 years anyway. He's obviously going to be an assistant. He didn't feel he was ready to take first team on. Well, get ready. Danny won't be bothered about the stuff that comes with it. He's been a star since he's been 19-year-old. He's been in the public domain since he's been a kid. So he's been all over the world. His name's revered as all over the world. One of the best players ever to play the game, certainly in Great Britain. I should say, Danny, and he's been there. If you think about it, he's been there probably 3, 4, played 2 years, then probably 4 years, 3.5 year coaching. He's been assistant, he's been reserve team coach, he's been this, he's been media manager, he's been director of football. It's probably the perfect. Somebody's just texted me actually, so there must be, I know we're breaking, but another coach has just texted me and just said, what a great chance to dip your toe and have a little look and see how it comes about, and then he can go back and go, oof. I were right to say I didn't want that now, or he might say, he might come out and say, you know what, I was ready, and then he might say, yeah, I might do 1 year, and that it could. Danny will learn loads, won't he? Danny will learn loads, and do you know what? Tony has had a big influence on Danny, no doubt. One of his first coaches he got, who proper, if people remember the Leeds times. Danny's then had 2.5 years with Tony at KR. He's had Brian McDermott as a coach. He's had Brian McLennan as a coach. He's had Brian Noble as a coach. He's had Steve McNamara as a coach. Isn't it great that he's probably nicked? Yeah, the best coaches they pinched.
Did you say Powell then?
Well, he's had Darryl as a youngster, didn't he? Yeah. But not for long. I think he puts a lot of his thank you on Dean. The centre for Wigan, the New Zealand legend. Dean Bell. Danny has a massive rap on him, but he's probably learnt loads. And if you read about young coaches coming to the game, they all said, mate, they pinch little bits from everybody. So I bet if he takes a pinch of everything. I tell a thing. I missed Tim Sheens. He's also, and he used to say to me, I said, why Sheens is revered, Danny? And obviously Tim, what would Tim have been, towards 70, 65?
Yeah, it was
and Danny said, I've never seen detail in attack like it. He said it's like a matrix board of short side. He said he likes to take a short side. So he said he's always wanted little things happening around. Look, Danny'd never seen that in the 15 years he played. He said he'd never seen 12 moves for one play. And he said just understanding what Sheensy wanted were mind-blowing for him in his head. And I said Brian Mack were more motivator, a little bit of management. Tony in his early days would have been an absolute developer of a player. He spoke well of Steve Mack. He didn't play. Here's one thing. He didn't play for England for a full 8-week camp when Steve Mack picked Rangy Chase on Kevin Sinfield or Widdop. I don't know who it was. But he said it was the best camp he had. He said he thought Steve was fabulous with players. He thought he was loyal to... He said if I would have been the halfback and he were loyal to me like he was to Rangy and them, he said I'd have loved it, and nobody would ever like loyal to me at international levels. So he quite thingy. So he's probably ready, isn't he? Don't you think? Listen, again, let's put it that Tony. I hate it when somebody loses a job. Tony, whether you rate Tony's has been the great success at Hull KR. I think he lifted Hull KR franchise, whether you like it or not, whether you think Tony's the best coach in the history or you want. We talked about Hull KR in a more positive way since Tony Smith went. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. The players have been happy. Honestly, mate, you say to me, I've heard that from camp, but you've not heard no negative from KR.
No.
We stopped then, so it means you've probably got one.
No, I didn't stop at all. Obviously, like we said, Craig, they're going through a tough time at Ulkinston Rovers, but I've got a lot of good friends there. Matty Staunton, Elliot Minchella, Rowan Milnes. They all speak highly of the professionalism and the environment under Tony Smith, what Neil Udgell and obviously Paul Larkin have put in place at Craven Park. So
I think you've got one of the best chairmen, if not the top 3 chairmen in the game in Neil.
Neil clearly cares about the sport, clearly cares about the club.
Massively,
100%,
absolutely
100%.
Passionate. Here's one thing. I once went to Neil's house. I don't mind me saying this. So I've gone in, and the first thing I've seen is like a dressing room of 1970 something KR. It's the biggest. It's like that. It's huge. And I was like, and he goes, "That's my favourite photo because that was his childhood memories. They were all his heroes." Well, if you go into some bloke's house and the first thing you see is that, you know he's passionate about his club. Yeah. And I said, Paul Larkin, you know what, Mick, last words on it, I don't know whether the timing's good or bad, that's the one. That's the one thing I'm thinking. I cannot imagine Danny this morning, I can't think how he gets the lads together and goes, by the way, I'm your new coach. You know what happens when you have a assistant to Tony? How does that relationship work? Does Tony say to Danny, I really want you to do well? You know, if you start winning games now, Danny, it makes my demise look even. You know, there's a lot of things that are going to go off. Yeah. And whether you like it or not, Danny and Tony could walk off to the sunset, best mates 25 years. But I'll tell you now, there'll be a little bit of something where Danny has to. Imagine, I don't know if you saw it, what happened in Rugby League a bit back when they said, say if Danny goes in, let's just say an instance for you. Danny goes in there and Tony's been picking five players who Danny won't. Yeah. The first thing Danny does is goes, you're not playing. That meant Danny's thought that all along. Yeah. That means when Tony's picking side, Danny's going, I'm not so sure about that, Tony. Yeah. This will be the most interesting bit, because if he does, it means the input he's been having has not been, you know, and then if he gets a result, your shelf life as a coach, it can be 1 week and then you're gone. If Danny gets a result in Derby, they'll not forget, Tony Smith they'll not mention it again. This is how fickle our sport is. I'm just being right with you. That's true. If Danny wins the Derby at the weekend, he'll be the new cult. It'll be like something that you've never seen, because you said the game's that big. Yeah. And they'll be not mentioning anything. I hope they do think Tony had a great. I hope in history he looks back at the coach who had a big influence at KR. I hope Tony goes down as one of them. And I don't know if you touched on it earlier, but there's lessons to be learned about when players and coaches decide that they've ready to move on and have a change. To make the call he did when he did, clearly it's backfired to an extent, and it's very easy then for fans to point the finger saying, well, he's put the tools down and his head's already gone, and I'm sure that wasn't true. But when players say 5 weeks before a grand final, when everything's going well, this is it, boys, this is my last go, you can use that really well, can't you? 17 Leeds Cas. Exactly, perfect example. That's what I was thinking of. You can then trade on the back of that and be like, come on, let's do it for him. If Roby turns around, I know he's doing one more year, I think, but when it comes to the time when Roby goes, boys, this is my last grand final, those Saints players who we're going to give 100%, they'll find a little bit more because they're doing it for others. Yeah. And obviously Tony, they were doing really well at that time, and it could have gone in a different direction, but I think it will make other people think, even if you've made your mind up in your head, when you make that public, you've got to be careful. Timing is everything, isn't it? Because you set yourself up potentially for a fall. You know, with season tickets next year, it's all going to be positive and it's all this, but as I say, on the point of when is the time right, I think there is never a right time. It's unfortunately, you'd have to be, if you walk away from a job, and we've said this earlier on in things, right. when Tony first announced he were leaving, it was sad. I think there was sadness with everybody because I thought Tony found his heaven. I thought Hulky had found their heaven in Paul Arkin. I thought that Neil Udgell had finally said, I'm off to the sunset, guys. Here's a little bit of investment every year. Let me come and watch it and enjoy the rugby because I've got everything in place I wanted. He had Danny McGuire head of football. I can never see Neil as happy and about the sport. 10 weeks later, he gets the phone call a minute before press conference that bump.
And you can't fault it. I'm not saying what Tony did was wrong because he's just being honest, isn't it? He's trying to give him as much notice as possible. And as we know, the rugby league world's a small world, and it wouldn't have took long before the rumours to spread around that he was going to be packing in. So
yes.
You're doomed if you do, and you're doomed if you don't.
Well, I've just said before, if you get to June with any player or coach out of contract, he's going.
Correct.
It's about the 5% that you can pull it back round. So Tony not signing the deal till then was an obvious indicator that there was going to be.
Yeah. And I think it was around Christmas time when he'd still not signed or there'd been no...
Exactly.
And you knew there was something there. Ulkinson Rovers, potentially Neil Paul.
Well, imagine talking to a player.
Looking in a different direction.
Imagine talking to a player. Hi, pleased to meet you. Yeah, I'd like to see you. Who's your coach? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know?
Do you mean Bradford?
I'm saying it's ridiculous.
Well, that's what's going on at clubs,
it's
isn't
ridiculous.
It? That's what goes on. And again, I'm sure there's a lot of players who need to look in the mirror. And sometimes people use and find excuses to take the foot off the gas.
Correct.
And
correct.
You know, Tony's tried to be honest, and maybe some players have just gone, oh well, that's an excuse to. And I wouldn't want to accuse anybody of doing that, but these things do happen. We see it in football all the time. It's embarrassing. These top professionals who clearly they get one or two excuses or reasons to let their performances slip.
I got one actually yesterday. I've not mentioned club, but we had a chat with the CEO, and he mentioned along the lines of that type of thing. He'd said, you know what, you get a player to come to your club, and you're so happy you get the player, and then he can join in with what is could be a bad little atmosphere in the club, and you're hoping he's not going to be that person who goes things, but some of his results go wrong. He joins at school, he's in the background because he's jumped straight into things going, oh yeah, isn't it? And I think that's so hard, and that's why I think you probably hear sometimes people buying a culture player. I think Ian Watson did it fabulously at Huddersfield. I think he went, it's on his opinion by the way, bad egg, good egg, and all of a sudden you've got this team who are playing for each other. Yeah. Don't mean that player can't go into another environment, but you'll find if there's bad eggs, Mick, it don't matter what environment they go into, when the timing's going against them, the results are going against them, the crowd, the coach, they will do what's typed to them, which is bad egg. Yeah. They will just turn and go back. Well,
it's their form of defence, isn't it?
Blame mentality. It's a massive blame mentality.
Foot and attack.
It's a real poor thing of professionalism, really, because like Jimmy said, the club will bring you on 100,000, 80, 90,000 quid, and they've made a 3-year absolute investment in you, and they just want you to be a good bloke within that culture. And you know what I mean? I suppose it is hard. You look at the last things on Tony's tenure would be, I think the one area they got wrong, and it's only my opinion, I think when you use the cap money for overseas, you've got to get it right. If you're saving money by Moneyball, when you pull the shot, you have got to get that right. And I only my opinion, it's my opinion, I don't think Sims, Vetty and Tangarangi have been a great success being the overseas signings that were there to... Yeah, I think if Tony had had his time again and he'd looked and he'd gone, I need these three... If these three players come and they are top three, Kane Lynette, Kenny, every week, top, we don't have this conversation. Let me tell you, this is not a conversation. Yes. If them three players had come in and been in the top 5 every week like Kane and Kenny are, we would not be having this conversation. And I think that's an important message to clubs out there. Do your due diligence, look at what you've got, and make sure you don't make a rush signing and say, just get them in because they're better than what I've got. And I'm not saying that happened, but it's so... Do players get you the sack?
Well, 9 times out of 10, yeah.
Yes, the players are accountable on the field for the on-field performances, and if you're not performing, sadly, the coach...
Does a player feel guilty when coach goes, does he blame himself?
Rarely.
Rarely, but you do get a bit... Look, I've gone through.
You might get on tweets. Just to comment.
You'll get the odd player who's emotionally attached to that coach, who's has a special bond. But by and large, Craig, you're quite right. They're like, he's gone.
Hey,
we all move on now.
Watch out for the first tweet. It's usually the bloody bad apple, innit? Thank you, you've changed my life.
You know it. It's the bad egg. It's the bad egg who does
first one in there.
If you always say that with the first, if you know you've had a nightmare, players, and you see that first tweet going, you know that he's protecting his bad performance by saying, "I'll let you down, everybody," and all fans go, "No, you think we're all right." So, but players get coaches sack. Tony, I don't know if he. You just said results there, Mick, and I didn't know it was that bad.
It's 1 winning 9. 1 winning 9. 1 winning 9 for Hull.
That sparked me up. That is relegation form.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you look at it on the playing thingy, that's not good enough. That's not and again, could Tony look at injuries? Could he look at players? Could he look at performance? I hope he does. I think Tony, to learn something from, even at Tony's age, and it looks like he's become revitalised, you've still got to go back and say, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? And I think some of the results this year have definitely been because them 3 players are not on pitch. Because he's not even selected them. Yeah. They're his big signings, along with Kenny and Parcell and Lynette, but Lynette were already there.
Yeah.
But them 3 coming in Tony's tenure, they should have been on the pitch every week. They had to be on the pitch.
Based on the cap spend and...
you probably got 450, 500 not getting picked. And it's just that... Is it? I get the name, Tangaraki. Is if he come that first 2 weeks and we all thought, oh, wow, this kid is going to be the net. He had the feet, the catch above, he were bang. I'm thinking, if this kid's good at centre with Ryan Hall and Kenny on the other side and him and Ethan, or whoever it want to be, him and Ben Crooks, whatever. I'm sat there thinking, this is going to be, they're a top 4 side for next. I'm thinking he was the player I thought, I'll be honest, he was the one player I didn't do enough homework on. But when I saw him, I thought, wow, this kid could score 10, 12 tries, assists. It's just what they needed, a bit of magic. His 3 years it's not been great, has it?
No.
Well, I saw Vetti's first carry and I thought, wow. But then the minutes are so small, aren't they? And it's the same thing.
And Sims, to be fair to Sims, has tried he's absolutely tried. But it's just not, for some reason, he's not been a massive success. As he said, I think he's retiring, he's saying at end of year.
Yeah.
Probably because not another club in England had said, wow, get him here, because he's not, he's probably played. I bet between them, have they played 50% of the games? Do you think they have?
I wouldn't like to say.
Probably less.
Less than, that, unfortunately.
You've not had the value for money in terms of what you're spending on the cap, but like I say, that buck stops with Tony, don't they, ultimately?
I think players do a lot of times I think if you look at what happened to, let's say, Rich Agar. Did Rich get sacked because he got the player roster wrong and the results didn't go his way?
But I think you can really go into it. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Caesar has a really good end to the year because he's fit.
Yeah.
He signed Caesar on probably his performances from 2 years earlier. But when you look, I think he'd played 20 games in the last 2 years. Yeah. He's a broken body, and you can hope for the best. And Caesar might show his best for the rest of the year. But when he's playing injured and you put all that money and pressure in...
With Austin as well.
With Austin. I mean, Austin was slow off the mark, which was no surprise. But Caesar, he wasn't fit. He was injured. And if you're going to spend all that money on someone who is... What's the first thing you're going to look at? If you're in charge of a budget and you're going to spend big... How many performances does he play? How many games does he play over the last 3 years? If you're going to spend 30, 40 grand on someone and take a gamble because they're really a 100 grand player if they're fit, that's fine. But if you're going to pay full whack for someone who's broken, you're putting all your eggs in a basket, and literally their eggs, because they're going to... anyone can get injured at any time. If you buy someone who is struggling or who has struggled, you've got to be careful. Unless you're getting them at a good deal.
Well, I look at, ultimately, if you look at the pressure that Brett Hodgson's under, let's say Brett, and I think I'm seeing Brett this week, so I'm speaking as honest as I can. Reynolds, I don't know if Brett signed Reynolds, but I think he did. Were he there when he... Yeah. You're happy with that?
Yes. 100%.
Right.
He signed him, yeah.
He signed him, yes.
and our very own Gailey. And you go in there and you're hoping that they're going to play a lot of games. Gailey's got the two bans he's had, and then he picked up an injury, and you're like, and then he's been concussed, and you're like, oh no, how bad luck is this happening for him? If anything, and I hope it doesn't, Brett, I've heard, whatever. But again, it'll be down to 2 or 3, 4 individual signings that have got to be a success. It's so important for you to make it a success, isn't it? And let's flip that the other way. If a coach comes in and he makes 3 or 4 of them big signings and they're a success, oh my. Like I look up, no one's mentioning Theo Farge on Huddersfield. Yeah. Now Theo hasn't played a lot of games, so because Watson's doing well, no one's going, hey, where's Theo? What's happened to Theo? He's only played 5 games.
Yeah, all that money on the cap.
Which is so you're looking and going that now. He what a tough lad at Saints. He took some hammer at Saints. His defence for his size is immense. But you haven't, because his other signings at Huddersfield have been fantastic.
Yeah. Did he sign McQueen?
Yes.
No, McQueen was before.
Was McQueen before?
100%.
Right.
But he definitely had influences on the Salford lads who came across.
100%.
The lad I like, the culture guy who makes 50 tackles a game. You're saying, but you don't know who he is.
Luke Yates.
There's Luke Yates. Then you've got Tui's been fantastic, hasn't he? Absolutely. Sensational.
Yeah. The positional play and the reshaping, one of the master.
So you look at 2 of them, and he's got Theo's not really exploded yet, but you've got 2 have been fantastic. I think they've got the other guy. Who's the other guy who's been fantastic for him? But let's say you've got 3 of the 4 big signings have done all right. You probably need that stat to have any chance. Yeah. If you look at Radders at Cas, Kenny Edwards has been a success, even though at Huddersfield I didn't think he was. When he's played at Cas, he's actually been very good. Yeah. I thought he one of the best players in that Exiles game.
I'd agree with that.
And he's playing every week, and he's making line breaks every week. Radders have brought in Westerman.
Yeah.
Joe must like him on Sky. Big Joe gets the man at match every week. Yeah. Do you get me? So Radders, when your chairman meets you on Monday morning and you go, let's have a look at my signings, what you brought in. You've spent $500,000 of my cap money. And you go, but Westerman's got 3 man at matches. Kenny Edwards has been this. Winger's been that. All of a sudden, chairman goes, well done. Yeah. If you walk in there and you go, what about your 3 or 4 signings? And somebody goes, they've been a nightmare, son. You've wasted £500,000 and on a 3-year deal. Yeah. You imagine what's setting off in the thing. So this is a big lesson for everybody again. Okay. If you look at Warrington, who probably had it worst, in my opinion, have had it not been very good at that for a long time. Mm-hmm. Whether you think Gaz Widdop's been a fantastic success, we don't know what money he's on, so whether he has. But historically, I can remember so excited to remember Roy Tozy.
Roy Tarsi.
Tarsi, I say Tozy. Yeah. I thought that I was buzzing to watch him. I watched him at Rabbitohs. I was like, wow, Roosters. And I'm like, he wasn't the same lad that came here.
No, not when he come.
And then you went Tyrone Roberts.
No.
Then you went Kurt Gidley. I thought were okay. Then you went Sando, who started off like the world's best player, and then he left the building, didn't he? It were all. So you look at
Street Fighter.
I remember Chris Sando. I think he single-handedly won Warrington a game against Salford with top goals and tries. And then he just disappeared off the radar.
Did they sign Lou for Burrell as well?
Yeah, they had Lou for Burrell. That didn't work out.
Listen, if you talk about Leeds, you could say the Kyle Eastman. Yeah. That was you look at so we're all agreeing that players can either make or break you. So please spend loads more time getting it right, because coaches out there, they will have you, and let me say it, and I'm saying this as nice as I can, they'll also probably put your car on way out and then go straight into that room with lads and go, who's new? Because that's no offence to players. That's the nature of the beast.
It's a bit of ruthlessness.
It's something. We've seen a great shot today, and I'd like to show it, or Mick can get it up and show it. And there's a great shot of Kevin Sinfield doing the Leeds Marathon with Rob and Jamie Jones and the lads. It brought a tear to my eye.
Very emotional picture.
That's the side of rugby that is the most amazing thing you've ever seen. That he's raising profile for the disease again. There's probably going to be another load of money. It's unbelievable what they've done. That's what you call the teammates, but I'm only being honest. A lot of times, do you know when players leave a club, Mick, and they'll have best mates at club? Do you know that they don't talk to that bloke for about 18 months? I used to find it the worst thing about the job. I didn't even mention the players' names, but I once pulled him up and I said, you lived in a room for 2 years, never left each other's sides. And he went, yeah. I said, where, do you ever see me? He went, no, I've not been out with him since. I said, so when you leave there, put your bag on and go down road, is that it? He went, yeah, that's it. Tour done, seeing another lap. I says, that is, and you might pass each other, but there's no, and I've always found that weird. I think it's the nature of the beast, as with the coaches. How many times have you seen a player go, he's the best coach I've ever had, he's amazing, and then said same thing about the new coaches you like?
But I think it all goes back to one of my big things, that everything is often so short term. Contracts are often 1 year contracts, and certainly in the lower levels, but in the Super League there can be 1-2 year deals, and players just become that sort of creature where once this is done, it's the next thing. I know we have players who stay at clubs for a long time, but generally there's so much movement in between that they have to be so tough-skinned and just go, right, that's behind me, on Twitter, great chapter, on to the next chapter, boom. Yeah.
Oh, they certainly do.
And that's the nature of the sport as well. It creates.
Well, and is a good coach only a good coach if you get him picked?
Often, in a way, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But to go back to what you were saying there about the big players as well, if a coach, let's use Agar and Caesar for an example, if a coach, and this is hypothetical, has chucked a load of money at one player and then they're not performing, and it could
whatever, it might not be his fault. Yeah, the team.
And in this case, it could very well be because his hips is in trouble. Does the coach go, he's not performing, no worries, I'll stick him on bench and put 20 grand youngster on? Or do they have to persevere, because when the chairman goes, you know that £500,000 I spent, why are they not playing? And he goes, I got it wrong. Or do they persevere a lot of time with these players because they need to have them playing, because they put their neck on the line and said, of course he's worth this much. And then you're in an even worse situation.
There's not really an answer. The answer would probably, I'm sure they have
the proof's in the pudding.
They'd have to, or there has been times when players have gone to a club and not played for a long period of time, and that's happened. But I ultimately think it's definitely down to players a lot of times why the coaches get the sack. Yeah. And I think the coaches, when Watson left Salford, it was weird. Ian leaves Salford, gets the Huddersfield job. A bit of bad taste at Salford at the time. I can remember it being a bit naturally. Leeds who were best mates, they were all like,
Fulis had gone in with the money and
whatever reason. I wouldn't say it's just down to money.
No, I'm not saying it's down to money, but obviously Huddersfield.
He thought he had a better platform,
and then he's gone. So then he's gone. That's a great trait what Ian's got, where I think the players want to play for you. That if you wanted to say to me what's the best thing about a coach, I'd say judge them when they leave somewhere. Do the players who have been there want to follow him? And I think with what Ian, it was that 4 or 5 players went, get me with it wherever he's going. Yeah. Get me wherever he's going. And I think it's probably a good guide. Powley, I know he's under pressure at Warrington, and is he under, and I can see what all that. But I know there were probably 4 or 5 Cas lads who were all saying, I'll follow Powley anywhere. Yeah. They wanted to follow their coach. It wasn't about the club. They saw the coach bigger than the club. Do you get me? So that were I look at, I know in a daft way, and I thought about it when Brian Mack went to Toronto and then he ultimately went to Featherstone. He always liked Cuthbo. He did. He definitely. If you'd have said to Brian Mack, one of his favourite players, he used to love the fact he don't mind an offload. Mackey likes a bit of second phase. Well, that's his thing, so Cuthbo were never really negative in Mack's system. Cuthbo went to York, and I can imagine Fordy's 90% completion rate with Cuthbo was just give him an heart attack within 2 seconds. But Mack, and it's ultimately they rejoin each other, don't they? They have that camaraderie. Yeah. It's probably a good sign for a lot of coaches when you go somewhere. It's probably a bad sign, Mick, when you go somewhere and you go, what about all your players? And they go, oh no, they're not. You know then you're in trouble.
Yes.
You know you're in trouble if your agent's not ringing up and going, can they get there? Because they're thinking, I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to mention a player, but a coach who we had, he left to a club and everybody assumed the player would follow suit. And I had a chat with the player and I had a chance to do it. I had a chance to make this deal go. And he went, no. And I went, wow, I've been talking to you for 2 years. You've never said that. I just went, I've loved it. But no, I don't want to, and that's a private one. But it was like it even shocked me. I was like, I remember. Wow, well that's unbelievable because you'd have thought the first thing
nailed on. You'd have thought the exact opposite as well. Yeah.
I'll follow him to the end of the earth. And it was like, no, I think bang, that's 3, whatever's enough, and that's it. So
and to go back to what I said originally, there's about perhaps players allow themselves even subconsciously to drop once the Nova coach is going in, and it comes down to uncertainty. And it's the same where when it's unsure what's happening up top, then the knock-on effect is players don't have security in the contracts, do they? And if I've just had a player say to me an hour ago, saying it's very hard to really focus and play when you don't know what's happening for next year, and because so many contracts are short-term, it's almost non-stop that players are out of contract, isn't it? They find it very hard when they're unsure about what they're doing next, whether there's more pressure on them to perform or they're just distracted by it, and you throw something else into the mix which causes uncertainty. You don't need it. There's enough uncertainty as it is with our game, structurally, up at the very top. Never mind who's going to be my coach. Is the new coach going to want me? I'm at the end of my contract. And all those things combine to make it harder for a player to perform.
I've just been thinking there, I'm trying to think in my head as we're talking about. How many, did anybody follow Tony to Hull KR?
I'm sure there was one.
Lewis Johnson added the deal, but that one really following Tony. I think that was just because but were they...
Someone will be...
There's somebody, isn't
Someone will let us know. I feel that there was one almost immediately, wasn't there?
Yeah. They'll let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
But... like I say, Tony obviously leaving Hulkingston Rovers. Danny's got the hot seat, the whole derby. Let's just talk a little bit about not so much Hull FC, but what they went through on Saturday. I saw that result. I weren't at the game. I know it was 16-10 at one point, and I looked at it and I thought,
22-10 at half time.
Was it 22-10, 22-16? I think it was at some point. And I thought, this is a good close game. Yeah. Next time I look full time 62-16.
Yeah, I was the same.
I was just like, wow. And then I've actually gone and looked for the highlights because I know Rowan Smith watches this show and he's a good friend of mine. But like I say, that second half performance when you're seeing the passes stick, unbelievable. And
we said it the other week, didn't we? We said it will work sometimes, it won't work others, and when it works...
Because I haven't seen the full game, but I was watching some of the attacking structures of Leeds against Hull FC, and it was very similar to what they were trying against Huddersfield. And like you said, Jimmy, it didn't work against Huddersfield. You had Chris McQueen intercept and go 80 metres, a bit of a self-inflicted defeat. Rowan Smith, would be honest, the Huddersfield game. But when the passes stick, and Ash Hanley's going in for 5 tries, I forget who it was. The try of the game was... They come straight down the middle, Jimmy, and the 1-2, 3, and away you go.
Yeah, Myler put Lehman in to score it.
Yeah, Richie Myler. Unbelievable. And any Leeds fans watching this, when I said to you, Rowan will transform that team. It might not happen this year. I think the playoffs are probably beyond them. I know Rowan will probably say privately that they've still got aspirations of getting in there if they get a run of forming.
I think Castle Magic's the big one, really, isn't it? That's going to be a big 4-pointer.
Because obviously Castleford now have had a run of results under Radford and a great win over Huddersfield on Friday night. Yeah, but Leeds fans, I did tell you, what I saw on the highlights, that was exactly how Bradford were playing in the Championship back in 2016 when they were putting 82 points on Sheffield, 80 points on Oldham. Honestly, it's a joy to watch, and I want to see more attacking rugby league like that because that will grow the sport, that will get bums on seats, and that will bring that real buzz, razzmatazz factor back to the sport.
I can speak for the lads. What we deal with it's an happy camp. It's an happy camp. I can honestly quote a couple.
Are the players happy with how Rowan's going to change it? Because honestly, they are going full steam attacking
even the natural moaners are not moaning. Honestly, the natural moaners where you'll get a Wednesday moan. My phone's been... When you don't get a phone call off a player when a new coach comes in, it's a magical feeling.
Wow.
Because if the phone call comes in very early, it's like, mate, you've had it. Honestly,
mate, their opinions.
Happy camp at Leeds.
And for the Leeds fans, that game And the earlier win was at LKR away, where they went big as well. What was your other big win?
Yeah.
I think Leeds fans, if they get one more or two more performances like that, even if there's a few defeats thrown in, they'll be like, we've seen enough.
Yeah.
We're in a happy place now because we're excited for next year. And
I've actually just been, I was laughing this morning. I got up this morning and I had a glass of wine last night.
This morning?
Which is not, I didn't have one this morning. But as I've opened the old eyes, I've got a text ping and it's, and you're not going, by the way, just before I finish this thing, don't ask for an invitation, is Leeds, a box for the Magic Weekend.
All right.
And it's pinged open and it's like, we've got one, somebody's dropped out for this, and I've got it. So I've got the Saturday.
For the championship?
No, for Saturday. Magic Weekend.
The Magic Week. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant it.
You were on about Leeds. So the Magic Weekend, I've got
at Newcastle.
Yeah, you mean at Newcastle, right? So I thought you meant at box.
On Saturday.
I thought you
on
meant
Saturday, yeah. And I can't stop laughing because I can be shouting down then to the.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, I won't be DJing on Saturday.
Matt, he will be.
I'm not. I'm off to Newcastle.
You got there last year. You managed to find your way. You got into the box last year with Alan Tate and Joe.
That's only because you had food poisoning.
Oh God, it was this time last year. So, yeah.
Craig, Friday night, go to the Chinese.
Mick will order it for you.
Yeah, it was lovely, that box. Honestly, we even did a live show from there.
Yeah,
a little
you
bit
and Joe, didn't you?
Yeah. So it come through, and then I've literally looked down and then seen the fixtures, and I've gone, wow, that has got to be the day to go.
100%.
You've got Wakey Toulouse opening it up. The nerves are jangling. You then go straight into I think it's the Wigan Saints, is it?
Oh, get the fixtures up, Jimmy.
Wigan Saints, and I think we finish off with Leeds.
You do finish off with Leeds and Cas.
Yeah. So the three games have all got a high significance. Cas or Leeds win for playoffs. You've got
this Saints Wigan.
Yeah, Saints Wigan, Leeds Cas. Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's bang, bang, bang.
And Matty Pete said to me this morning, he said, "What a day Saturday's going to be." He actually said it to me. He said, "What a day Saturday's going to be."
It's invited Matt Shaw and not you. I've just read.
I would never do that to you.
Just so we're aware, Bradford play Newcastle on Friday night, so I am in Newcastle Saturday.
Oh my God, no.
So if anybody drops
Craig, it's Bradford, it's Newcastle versus Bradford on Friday night.
Yeah, they're trying to build that up, aren't they? They're trying to get people to get in there.
It's a fiver in. Should be a good crowd.
What we'll do, I'll tell you what we'll do if we decide. I haven't decided yet, so we need to have a chat and a meeting.
No, it's fine. Listen.
No, let me finish. You're not letting me finish. You could talk yourself out of it already. Right, we could actually. Oh no, you're not allowed. Forget about that. We could have done a live show from there, but I've just realised that we did something last year, and they're not allowed to film any of the ground. You get absolutely slaughtered for it. So
no, you can film and do the show. You just they're very peculiar. So yeah, you'd have to.
I'm sure there was something that we decided last time. But anyway, fantastic day on Saturday. Can't believe it. I've got my sentiment to look forward to. I'm at the Tattersall racing sales for the next 48 hours, Mick, after today, and then I make my way down. So it's a jet set.
I just want to say, out of them Saturday fixtures, and this is probably the rugby league game of the weekend for me, it is Wakefield. It's Toulouse versus Wakefield, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm only saying that because there is so much importance on Toulouse and Sylvan Houlis to get a win, because I'll tell you now, if Toulouse beat Wakefield on Saturday, like we say, I mean, to be fair, the fat is already in the fire based on what Toulouse have done against Ulkinston Rovers on Saturday night, and we've just gone through Toulouse's next fixtures. After Wakefield, they've got Leeds at home, they've got Hull FC at home, they've got Warrington at home, they've then got Ulkinston Rovers away. They've got a very favourable set of fixtures all of a sudden. They've got a very favourable run of fixtures, and
listen, how mad is it that we're talking about Leeds and Warrington as being ones that could potentially win? But if they beat Wakey at the weekend, it's a 2-point.
I've got a challenge for Wakey. I've thought about
that. And because of Wakefield's hammering at Salford, and a Wakefield fan quite rightly said to me on Facebook, the gaps now after that defeat on the points for and against, actually.
The points for is...
Toulouse are actually ahead of them now. Because of what Wakefield have conceded.
Next to
so
nothing, isn't it?
It was at over 100 in Wakefield's favour, but because of Wakefield's hammering by Wigan and then Salford, that's gone now. So that extra game, when the points difference is at 100 or more, has gone.
But let me check. This is the challenge for me. And I spoke to Matty this morning, and I said, how did Wakey play? And he said, typical Wakey. He said they throw everything at you.
Yeah.
But sometimes they maybe not want to get involved in the arm wrestle and really go through the motions and do the Huddersfield type, St Helens type, high completion, kick chase. A bit like Fordy did yesterday, you know. Do you go if Wakey are feeling the nerves now and Toulouse are probably favourites for the game? I think we'll all agree. I think Toulouse will be favourites.
They've got
and Wakey have got a lot of players out of contract to end the year, so I know that's tough as well. I know that if you've got players who are looking at the future, you either go into this game at weekend going, I'm going to play amazing on telly and everyone's watching, I'm going to get this in a club, or you go, ooh, nerves, you know. I wonder if Willie's been known to express with the players to go and play some rugby. But when do you put the handbrake on and go, whoa, this becomes the biggest game it could be at season for Wakey and Toulouse. Do we go high completion? Do we control the ball? Do we work the rope? Do we do everything right and not allow us to spread that ball? Or is it too late to put that in place? Because I think Gailey once said to me, when they tried it, he said, you cannot just put that in place. That has got to be trained into your heads for months and months and months for it to be able to high complete and play a... York yesterday, I'm sure this is York fans and Fordy, there must have been 9 kick chases in that first half. Jamie did the same kick and the chase were good, and I'm sure Fordy wanted more, but they kept to it, and I think that's his style. His style is to keep to it. St Helens, Lewis Dodds famously said to me in the grand final, I said, how come you didn't do anything else? How did you know you were going to come out? He said, we kept to our game plan. They have a panic call, but they only use that if they're about a minute and a half away from the Catalans and pressing it. But I'll be interested in looking at Wakey and see if they change the way, because I'll be honest with you, the game's that big. Toulouse will be sat there playing Wakey going, if we complete high, they're going to throw everything at us, and there's going to be a lot of scramble defence and a lot of whatever, but I wonder if Wakey have to change the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In a big game, do you change the way you play? Yeah. Do you change the way?
Or do you trust that you do a good performance because, you know, it's worked earlier in the year and...
Well,
that's what the coaches get paid for.
I'll go as far as saying that if Wakefield win this on Saturday, Toulouse are down. Yeah. This is Toulouse's last lifeline. If it was a
and they play quite expensive Toulouse, so it'll be interesting if any of them put the queue on rack and just say, listen, complete high, kick it corners, and let's just get through this game. You know what I'm saying? It's saying football, you look and you go, Brian Clough won 2 European Cup finals. Brian Clough, like, 100% were a counter-break coach. He liked to sit back and absorb, and then I think Mourinho famously would love to win a game 1-0. He's willing to sit there, and he thinks that's what the game's about. Ellery Hanley once said the St Helens grand final he won was the best performance he's ever coached. I think they won drop kick.
No, they won 8 points to 6.
8 points to 6.
In
the lowest scoring grand final
against Bradford.
But he thought that was that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He thought that type of display shows courage.
There were just 2 tries all game. Tries all game.
I wonder if this one they'll open up. I wonder if you've got 2 expansive teams. That's my challenge for next week. It'll be getting there and going, how are they going to play this? Cas in 17, one of the biggest challenges coach I've ever saw. Leeds was supposed to be the entertainers. Leeds won that 17 side, and I'm playing respectfully here, probably was not as good as the other sides that had won the grand final. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of mismatches. They had a lot of people coming in. Yeah. I can remember speaking, and we've said this on the show, that week I thought, can Cas play that rugby in October on a surface which is greasy? The conditions usually raining, and the goal line D is what, 2 metres, Mick? What is it?
I think it's about 6 metres.
Right, and that's...
If you look at
and what's the normal one?
8 or 9. 10.
So
OKR, for instance, is maximum 10.
Right, so you've got this, And people don't understand that. So what Mick's just said, please take on what we're saying. Old Trafford is a shorter version in the goal area.
Yeah, the grand final gets special dispensation. It's not a full-size pitch because obviously, if you look at Old Trafford, they've actually raised the pitch for water runoff, and
that's it.
You cannot have a full-size or even a minimum standard in goal. It's below minimum standards.
So you turn up and you go, do Cas play numbers? Do they play full-back swinging in? Do they play that beautiful football that the entertainers play? Odd. Yeah. Well, I can remember Danny at first 20 minutes. They went box kick chase, tight, and all of a sudden I think somebody got over one, and they scored. Briscoe, might have been Briscoe. Someone scored anyway at first, and I was like, do Cas come off this game plan? They carried on doing it, and it were only the last 20 minutes. I thought, well, if Cas don't change here, ultimately they've not played. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've not played the game. Whereas Leeds, I thought, played the final amazing. Danny they just knew what to do. The famous team talk at half time, whether it's true, we only heard a little bit, but Matt come in, sit down, guys. This is what we're going to do, and Danny's gone, no, Matt, we're not. We're going to do exactly what we've been doing. I'm out there as your captain, and we're going to win this game. So leave it as it is. What a call. I mean, what a look. And by the way, big ups on Brian Mack, if that's true, for not having an ego and letting that happen. Oh my God. I can imagine Mourinho if a player did that. In fact, I'd like to be there in changing rooms. In player centre 40. Wait a minute, James. Just do what we've been doing. Look, he wouldn't know what hit him, would he?
Or Neil Warnock in football.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying, though? Can you imagine? That is a talent in itself, isn't it? To listen and express. I'll be interested, and I'll make some phone calls this week, and I'll be interested if that's even been spoke about. Like, will you go and try and win 1-0, rightly what you said, and Toulouse are gone? Or do you go, we're going to get at him, we're going to throw that ball about, and we're going to express ourselves? Let me tell you my feelings. I'm taking 1-0. I am absolutely just playing, in tennis terms, I'm slicing just to get me through the game to get a result. I'm going to, do you know what I mean? Because it's that big of a game.
Michael Carter will be open and honest. He doesn't care if it's 9-8 or 29-8.
And the fans won't.
Wakefield need to get that win because if they lose that game, then I'd probably say they're favourites to go down. Purely based on
momentum,
Toulouse having
confidence.
Because obviously they've had so many away games while the pitch has been reseeded ahead of the rugby union season and the football season. So now they're going to have a spate of home games, like you say, Warrington, Hull FC, Leeds. They're going to have all that home advantage. And looking at the fixture list based on how I've seen them performing, and the fact is, yes, they went to Wigan the other Friday night, and yes, Wigan comfortably beat them, but in the other games at home, they've beaten St Helens, they've pushed Wigan all the way. It was a Maddie Smith drop goal or whatever it was in the last minute. That was the difference. It's that home form that's ultimately going to keep them up. I still say Toulouse will have 14 to 16 points come the end of the season.
Are you saying Toulouse are going to stay up, yes or no?
If they beat Wakefield on Saturday, Toulouse will stay up. Lock that in, come back and haunt me. If Toulouse beat Wakefield on Saturday... You've got an if in there,
that's not a proper prediction if there's an if.
No, I'm saying because it's such a huge game, Craig. It is a relegation.
I'm calling it without an if.
Right, who are you calling?
Toulouse will stay up. Toulouse will stay up.
I think Toulouse are down.
Toulouse will stay up if they beat Wakefield on Saturday.
Without ifs and buts, I will say that Wakey will do it. I think Toulouse will go down.
Right.
The only thing is Toulouse at the start of the year, the squad they was putting out was nowhere near as strong as it's been for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So
correct.
Toulouse are going in the right direction, but I do think I can see Big Dave having a big game.
Do you know what? It's weird, isn't it?
I can see him really turning.
Well, they can Corey Matty give a massive raps on Corey. He said he went through the meterage again. He must have a chance for a young player here because I think he's average 150 minutes a game. It's mad. Yeah. It's mad.
I just hope he gets the recognition.
Well, you know, yardage is not a fashionable thing, is it?
He's playing in a team that's not getting the results, the performances at the wrong end of the table.
Well, him and Lewis playing at that young age, it's mind-boggling, isn't it? But listen, I think Wakefield get the job done. It'd be interesting if they go into the market because they've got cap space. Because Toulouse have changed their season, as Jimmy's just said. They got the full-back from Huddersfield.
Ollie Asholborn.
Who's been a sensation, by the way. and they probably brought another couple of players in. Wakefield, as far as I know, probably have they brought a player in this year?
Not really, have they? No, it's been pretty.
Any thoughts? So again, is Michael saying our style of play will get us through? The players we've got will get us through. There's no panic here. And whereas Toulouse 6 weeks ago went bang. I think I think all of a sudden
they were struggling with injuries as well. It wasn't and they had that. Obviously, they lost 2 massive players very late in the day, and then we had a lot of injuries. I mean, it could. I put it this way: if Toulouse do survive, they need to beat Wakey. I totally agree with you. And Ben, I do think it's a 50-50, but I think Wakey will probably get it done. If Toulouse survive, it's going to come down to the fact that they beat St Helens.
100%.
And that is going to be, an unbelievable bonus 2 points, because I can't remember at the time, but you're probably talking, they probably beat a 30 to 40 point handicap in that game.
We should have made this a relegation thing for some content, Sam, haven't we? We've managed to talk, there, we've mixed it round.
And we've not even got onto the championship this week.
Well, and I wanted to talk more than out about the Cas game. I thought Cas to beat Huddersfield. Radders, let's give Radders some toffee. He's on the board. There's a run coming. I think it's so many straight.
Yeah.
I thought Jake Truman until he got injured was absolute. I was sat and we were laughing in house when he did that run, and I'm like, I feel like that. I told you all. Yeah. I've got that energy inside me. How dare you ever say that he's not? And I'm like, he just went. But that's true. It went off the cuff. Boom. The first one, I wasn't selfish. Tip on when he could have got his set. Yeah. There you go, bang. I thought Radders has got on playing. Radders has got Cas at it and playing, and good raps on him, because if you look at him going into Cas and Powley going into Warrington, you'd have thought Darryl, it's on the board. I've got Darryl for top, best coach ever and top 2. And Radders, I'm thinking.
Just so you know, Craig tipped Warrington to win the Challenge Cup and the grand final.
That's how much I'm thinking.
He's had a nightmare.
That's how they'll think. But then you look at it, if I'm being honest, then Radders going into Cas, I'm like, that is a tough kick. You're following Powley. You've lost a few players. They lost. He's had to replace Peanut, Oggy, 2 of his best players, and then he's had to go and bring his own players in, and then he's got no youth coming through.
True, weren't fit.
He's had no youth coming through. He left with a young lad. Danny Rich was so out of love with rugby and Cas, and so he's had all these problems. Paul McShane wasn't firing. I'm watching it, and I'm going to give Radders the massive raps here. And Lasty and the coaching staff, Danny Wilson and the boy, they've gone at it, and good on them. Good on them, because that Cas were bouncing again. It were like, wow.
And it's only really fair to judge the coaches who came in, really on the second half of the season. I know fans are going to judge them from day one, but as neutrals, it's easier for us to go, well, let's give him a bit of time, and let's see him put his stamp on it, which is obviously what we're expecting Powell. And he's trying to do it, and
anybody worth the salt would have said, who's got the hardest job? They'd have said Radders.
Yeah. I mean, and
he's followed a 7-year Cas.
He were probably favourite to be the first coach sacked this year. And fair play to Cas for not pulling the trigger dead early and saying, no, we're going to give him time, and we're confident he will get him going, and he has.
Do you know what, as well, going into the job? I hope they don't mind me sharing this. I thought it was hilarious. So when he got that shaky start, you're about characters, and the people who know Mark Grattan and Pelly who run Cas, the CEO, Pelly's like the director of football or whatever, right? The really good lads, and the down-to-earth lads, good sense of humour, and Radders goes, Craig, I've got to tell you something, we're having crack, and he goes, we've lost 3 on trot, he goes, and he says, I looks up, and he must have seen him on balcony, it might have been at Wakey, and he said he's heard this, Radford out, and it was them. He said, I've looked up thinking he won't fancy because he's them with Radders. And I thought, God, that is absolute genius.
Brilliant.
And taking the pressure. Yeah. And Radders goes, Craig, I can't stop laughing. And a little private other one is, we went inside to we were eating, and I had a bit of funny with Radders. There's all this staff there. We've got saying, and Mark's showing me the ground, what it's going to look like.
With the new stand.
So he's telling me and that, and I said, I think it's a bit out of order showing me this in front of Leigh because he won't be here. And I just carried on talking, and then Radders went, you what, they've got a brilliant laid back loveliness about them that when the pressure is on, It's beautiful because imagine feeling pressure and you look up and Radda's out, and then you look at it and we all started laughing. Radda's looked at me and goes, "It's a madhouse. This is a..." And I thought, no, that's exactly what should happen when stress is on. Humour brings out the best in people. I bet Radda's walked on and thought, that's the most amazing thing, innit? It's come from the stress pot of all. And
it shows as well that there's...
Jomi's going to join. If he takes his thing off, he can pull up a chair.
And it shows about, we've talked about it with other clubs this year, it's about realistic expectations from the top. They're basically saying to him, and some Cas fans might have, I don't think there'd be many Cas fans that thought they were going to challenge for top 3 or top 4 this year. So it shows that when the very top of the club are realistic about expectations, the coach can have that confidence in them and take the time a bit more and not panic.
Squeezing for Jomi.
Thank you, guys.
Well, as you can see, Jomi the Money has joined us. Good to see you, Joe, on the half-fat Coke or the no-fat Coke.
The no-fat Coke.
Just a quick one before we continue. Joe, your friends from America, we didn't get to ask them last week because you weren't on the show. They come over, they go to the NFL, they go to the NBA, the NHL, the ice hockey, the American football. Just give us a quick... what's their feedback been on the Hulkingston Rovers Huddersfield game? What, in terms of what's available, the amenities? I just like a quick.
You better thank Paul Larkin and all for getting it for tickets.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, we had a great day. We had a knife and fork, because Dad calls it. We had a brilliant time. The food, they loved all the food that Hull KR put on. They loved everything about it. To be fair, the thing that. What happens in America the things that happen in England that doesn't happen in America is the fans screaming at the ref they couldn't wrap their heads around it.
That's just Jimmy Mack.
That might have been Jimmy Mack sat there 5 seats across shouting at the ref, but yeah, I'd say that was the one, like, not negative, but like obviously we know all the classic chants about the ref, like every single comment that the fan made was all directly aimed at the ref, and whether he was good or not, he definitely made some clangers in the game, but probably didn't deserve what he got, what they get at all. So that was one where like they slaughter the refs on like this. They'll be like, oh, in America, but they don't. But
the refs don't have as much to do as what Rugby League is. I think all right, there you go.
I think they definitely do in NBA.
The detail in ours is ridiculous. For one ref to control what he's doing is ridiculous.
I think that's maybe the difference, that it's one ref. In NBA, there's a ref at every corner.
Of a team of 8,
yeah. So that's probably where maybe we could introduce another ref and take some of the pressure.
Tried it in Harold, didn't the 3 refs, Mick?
They got rid of it now.
Dead ball.
Dead 2, yeah. Well, it was like the pocket ref, but they got rid of it.
Well, did you see the one? I don't know if you were at York yesterday when they tried the drop kick. They tried a drop kick yesterday, and the ref didn't know whether it went in or out. So everyone's looking, and Jared just before half time kicked one, and no one knows whether it's gone in and out. And then I'm looking and thinking, surely there's somebody behind goal who can say yes or no. Anyway, they just blew whistle. I'm thinking, God, can you imagine missing that in a game? Yeah, because there's nobody there, is there?
Yeah. If there's not anyone behind sticks at York,
and no one jumping up, so you couldn't see whether it got in.
There's not even a single fan in those stands.
I mean, that's the thing with the Championship and League One. You don't get the in-goal officials, whereas they're doing the Super League, the non-TV games. But yeah, they've had a good time, Joe. That's good to know. At least you're spreading Rugby League to America.
Yeah, they love the atmosphere. They love the sport. Obviously, a lot of American sports, it's very systematic. Every sport except NBA, but even then, it's stop, start, stop, start. So it's probably the first sport where they all went, wow, it's fast, isn't it? It's just so fast. It's electric. Obviously,
did they say no helmets? No helmets, man.
They did.
That one's American accent.
No, that was shocking. It was absolutely shocking, but
more shocking than my acting.
But that's definitely a surprise for them. Obviously, I think all of it goes in. All of it goes into it. They really like the sport. I've not had I've not brought a friend over yet that's not enjoyed Rugby League. If that's a positive.
What about when you took Megan to the reserve game?
Maddie the reserve game. Yeah, I took my friend Maddie to a reserve game, and even she enjoyed it. There were about, obviously, no offence, the Bradford v Hull KR reserve game, but I think about 100, 200, 300 fans.
Were you there on Thursday, Joe?
Yeah, I was there, Mick. I was there.
You should have come round and said hello. I was alone in my little box.
I did tell him when you were getting the names wrong, because the team sheet, I said, Joe, go and knock on the door, tell Mick you can write it all down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we were the other side.
We were the other side.
I won't walk that long, to be fair. I'm a bit lazy for that.
Like I will say, and I will stress this to anybody who watched that game, because it did go on Facebook, and I think there were 2,000 people or something watching at one point. When you get the team sheets at these reserve games, and then they're playing the squad numbers, or the swap the squad numbers,
wrong,
it's embarrassing, and I don't know how you can get around it. I don't, because I talk to the clubs, I talk to the RFL. You know, if you're wanting to broadcast these games and you're wanting these on Facebook and people watching it, there's nothing more worse than the players' mums on there and they're all commenting, "Oh, that number's wrong." But that's not my fault. That's because they've swapped the shirts.
Yeah.
And unless you've got someone in the dressing room 2 minutes before kick-off, he swapped with him.
Yeah.
There's no chance.
That should happen. That's terrible.
I know.
Are we actually saying at this level that does not happen?
Yeah. Well, what about when I went watching Leeds reserves earlier in the season?
That's what I'm saying, Craig. All I want to see from the sport of rugby league, from top to bottom, is professionalism. I know sometimes a player...
I'm going to say you and the Odsall Gate shouting Ralph Rimmer and all that, that's very professional, isn't it?
Well, no, that was...
Oh, right.
All I was saying was
no need.
You had to bring that.
There
was
no need for that. That was a low blow. That was
a low blow.
Sorry about that, Mick. I do apologise for
that.
Right.
I'm
apologising.
Matt, I'm definitely cancelling that gig on Saturday.
Kidding me.
Sorry, Jimmy, you were saying about Leeds.
And a bit of humour.
Oh, so in a reserves game early in the season, I got the team sheet and I was looking through it and a few names I didn't know, and matching up, and this player's having a right game, and I'm like, oh, I spotted one here. And gets to our time, I'm like, ask one of the lads, who's that? Because he didn't know his name. And it's actually Toby Warren, one of our lads, playing who I'd not seen before, playing in under a different number and a different name.
Yeah, it's crazy. But look,
that literally that is that bad. I'm serious. There, when we just play Sunday morning football,
it's a simple thing
in the day. But in the day, Mick,
you go to some grounds and there's no team sheets.
You play Sunday morning, and even on Sunday morning when you're team sheeting, in the day, if you've got a good player and you try to hide him, and you've got a big game, it wouldn't be messy for so and so, but you try and sneak a player in, which were totally illegal in the day. But we did it. Every team did it.
Yeah, unregistered.
If you're away and they didn't know you, you'd say, "Yeah, he's not signed on, but he plays Saturday afternoon. We need him."
Yeah.
And you would call him John Smith, and he'd be there, and then he'd go in paper. John Smith scores 4. I got terribly hammered once for doing it myself and scoring under another name. Now I was so cheesed off, I rang the paper and said, "No, it was me."
And you weren't registered.
And I got hung. Yeah, I got hung for it. It's Harrison's Hatfield half dozen, and there was hell on, and then wound me up about it. So that should not be happening in today's game. It's criminal. And do you know one more? When you're commentating, and I watched that game, good on you, Mick. Good on you, because I watch games, reserves. It's the worst watching in the world when you don't know the team sheets, don't know the games. Even having your voice watching it is a better watch. How much does it cost for you to do that?
Nothing.
What do you mean? You just stand there?
Yeah.
Are we filming that?
With a camera on a tripod. And then the microphone coming out of it.
So we're saying you turn up there of your own boat.
Yes.
And do that.
Yes, I did not get paid a penny for that game on Thursday. That was me giving something back to rugby league, which is what I always do.
So why are the other clubs not?
That's brilliant.
I don't get it.
No, listen, I don't want a round of applause because I know I've been missing in action at a couple of reserve games this year, but I can literally turn up with the tripod, with the camera, microphone out, da-da-da-da-da.
And how many reserves and academy games have got commentary on?
Very few.
Very few.
There was nothing.
No more than half.
There was nothing. There was nothing on the St Helens Leeds one. There's a big.
There's
one.
Only Leeds Rhinos that do it at home. Yeah. They're the only other team. Bradford, obviously, you do it very well. And there's Leeds Rhinos at home where they'll get another player to jump in with the lad who does it. Fair play to them. Sorry if I'm wrong. I apologise. As far as I know,
Wigan TV do.
Wigan TV, but you need the subscription,
Correct.
so that's not out. So apart from Wigan TV, there's no other teams that do it. They
Correct.
can't hire someone local £50 to set up a camera and film it for 2,000 people like you, and you've done
And
it
you
for free.
film it on your own, so it's just you with your camera.
Yes.
That's absolutely incredible. So we're saying these other clubs.
Craig, I've gone to Hull FC. I think they play at Bishop Burton or wherever.
They do.
I've gone there and I've done it pitch side. I've done Castleford Lock Lane, where Castleford have played Bradford. I've gone there with a tripod and I've just filmed pitch side. And I know people have gone like, wow, how would you do it? You know, because Eben Sker's dad, when Eben's younger brother Mackenzie was playing for Castleford, he's come round and I'm there filming, so I'm commentating, I'm filming, and I got my team sheet in this hand and I'm like, you know, and people are just like, wow, but I guess if you're good at it and you can multitask.
Well, that's incredible. And, and how bad it is, please, if we're trying to promote this game, it's a little message for all the clubs. Please, if you can get that done on one camera, and it can come what you come up with the other day. I know the names were wrong, but the actual flow of the game were incredible, and the way you go.
And the good thing is,
why are they saying with one camera and one person can make that job? Why is that not? That should be into the contracts of the clubs.
Well, like I say,
that's terrible.
You get in touch, Craig.
Saying that to you, though,
any Super League clubs wanting me? Go through Craig and we'll sort it out.
No, I'm not your agent.
But no, and the good thing about the Facebook is because you're seeing all the comments flashing up, and you can actually have a bit of banter, a bit of interaction with them.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, look, there we go. That was just a bit of a bugbear. Right, we're on to the Championship. Massive result yesterday for the London Broncos, trailing 28-0 at half-time. Jimmy, we know you've got quite a few players at Sheffield. We'll get your thoughts on this, but this is unbelievable. It's 28-0 at half-time. I genuinely thought London, before the game, that's a massive green tick for London in their fight to survive and stay in the Championship. I look at it at half-time, I want radio, and I'm like, oh my God. In my head, I'm thinking, what on earth's gone on there? Fair play to Sheffield. They've been pumped by Bradford and Leigh at home in consecutive weekends. Mark Ashton stuck them down there, and they've basically got a win that puts them back in the hunt for the playoffs. Yeah. Full time comes 36-28. London 6 tries in the second half. It's, from what I believe, the biggest ever in 120 odd years.
Well,
the biggest comeback in rugby league history.
28-0 one half, 36-0 the other half.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see, Mark.
It has never happened. It has never happened before. The RFL put a tweet out this morning. We've got to go with what the RFL say. Fair play to London. They've now put 3 points between themselves and Dewsbury. Workington lost yesterday at home to John Keir's Widnes, 38 points to 0. That keeps Widnes out of that relegation fight. Workington, as we've said on this show for weeks now, they're done and dusted. They're toast. Dewsbury, they're in a real pickle. They suffered a defeat at home to Halifax, but
Whitehaven pick up a point at Batley.
Again,
give your man a plug. Joe scored.
Yeah, Kieran Hudson's first try for Whitehaven. Apparently had a fantastic game as well. So he's back.
And when you look, I mean that
I think that point that Whitehaven got has just made it absolutely certain they're not going to get
into it. And that's so good, because like I say, I've got a lot of personal friends at Whitehaven. I know we try to do this show neutral, but when you cover the Championship and you go around all the grounds, you've got your favourites and you've got your foes. But on that London game, that now is a huge gives them breathing space, because Dewsbury, as we said, Liam Finn, it wasn't going to happen overnight. I know against Bradford last weekend, you know, you could see that there was a little bit of something there in that first 30 minutes where they kept Bradford to 6 points and then they fell away. Again, a similar sort of thing happened. I spoke to a couple of my friends who are Halifax fans. 16-6 at half-time, real dogged sort of arm wrestle type of a game before Halifax cut loose in the second half. But let's just talk about London, Jimmy. I mean, have you spoke to any Sheffield players?
I've spoke to...
What has happened? Because that is I can't describe it. You're 28-0 up, Craig, at half-time. You've only got 40 minutes to go. You discomplete, you win.
Well, I think that's... So, Mike Eccles, who's taken the reins at London, first of all, you know, I grew up with Mike and Leigh. We grew up together. So you've got to, first and foremost... That must have been a hell of a hard-time team talk, wasn't it? You're looking at relegation, but being really struggling. They've had a couple of good performances recently and not got the results. But regardless of what Sheffield did in that second half, and it sounds like they very much shot themselves in the foot, to get your team to even believe you're still in that game, and to get your team to turn around and you know break every record going. So first of all, you've got to give all the raps fair to the London team and what Mike has done there to give him belief. And then Mark's words were, it's probably the most angry he's been in many years for them to...
Oh God!
To not see how, like you said, all they needed to do really was just complete
and just complete your sets and you'll win.
And I think it's as simple as it seems like what Sheffield tried to do was score 60 rather than just see the game out and get the 2 points to keep their playoff hopes alive. They've got a real battle now, especially Barrow picking up. We were at the game yesterday. Barrow picking up those points has put them free clear of you. We've talked about how Bradford have got Lee and Fev out of the way now. All the others have still got to go. Certainly Barrow and London have got to do that twice. So I think huge day for the bottom of the table and a huge day for the playoff race.
I mean, you look at that. I'll get this off my chest now, and then it's over and done with. I obviously was working Bradford versus Leigh yesterday. Bradford had gone backwards defensively, soft tries conceded. Elliot Keir gave a bit of dissent to the referee, so Bradford were in possession. They were going in the referee's ear about something that had happened a couple of moments ago. Penalty to Leigh.
He was in the referee's ear.
Elliot Keir.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mark pulled Elliot up in the dressing room afterwards. He mentioned it in the post-match, press conference that we do, and very disappointed. And I'd hate for that to be Mark Dunning's last game in charge of Bradford, because obviously the head coach's decision is imminent. It's imminent. Nigel Wood said yesterday, it's imminent. Jason Hurst, the CEO, it's imminent. It's got to be imminent.
As in to start now. Are you saying that I thought Mark could get to the end of the year? Are you saying the new coach will start now?
I spoke to Nigel Wood and Jason Hurst yesterday. They used the word imminent. Whether that's Mark, whether they're going to give it to Mark, or whether somebody else is going to be coming in. And I just want to correct something what got reported on this show. I know Mark and I know two others who have met Nigel Wood, and that's what I meant by my comment. I know some, but not all of the 7 candidates. Well, allegedly, there was Mark and 6 others. So I know Mark and 2 of the others that have obviously sat down and met with Nigel and Jason. But Nigel used the word imminent, Jason used the word imminent. There's a fans forum next Wednesday. That tells me there'll be some sizable news coming out of Bradford.
There's a comment, and this is just a bit of crack, so whoever that is will sticks it out every time we said something. But he said, when Tony were talking about next year's gigs, and he said, I don't know if you remember at the interview, he said, and I don't mind what standard as long as it's a good journey. I'm thinking more, he more or less said he would coach. I'm just throwing a bit of crack out.
No, I agree.
As being one of them where you go, my God, that could be like...
I was asked yesterday by fans, is it Tony Smith? Is it Tony Smith?
Oh,
wow.
We know there's been the decision.
It just makes me think in my head that when he said... I wondered why he'd said that. When Tony said it at the press conference, and I don't mind which competition, as in he would do it at other standards. Yeah, because I got
that's a huge comment to make.
That'd be wild, wouldn't it? I
feel sorry for Mark in the sense...
We're not saying Mark's not...
No, I know.
I'm only reporting the facts. Nigel and Jason said yesterday, before the game, the head coach's announcement will be imminent. Yeah. So Mark, I know you watch this show, and Mark probably pulls his hair out. Mick, why are you asking me about what's the latest on the coach's situation? Because, to me, getting that comment from Nigel and Jason, it's imminent.
All I'm saying is, I hope the 2 worst fixtures that Mark could have probably had in this process was Leigh and Dewsbury. Because Dewsbury, you're onto a... If they hammer Dewsbury, then, well, it's expected. If they get beat by Leigh, it's expected. So he'd done a great job leading up to it and a great win against Dewsbury. And against Leigh, come on, I'm not having that. Surely that can't be used against him. Getting beat by 50 by Leigh, that's just got to be... Yes, if they'd managed to keep it to 20 or 30, it would have been... That's a great effort.
A bit more palatable,
yes. That doesn't come into it. I'm sure that they won't be using that, and I'm still hopeful that Mark will get at least till the end of the year.
But they did this early on. I think we did this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Like a month or 2 ago, when Mark first come in. Did he lose to Leigh again, or was it Fev?
No. The last game for JK was getting beat heavily by Fev.
Against Mark Dunning. Mick. Who was it?
No, Fev played Bradford.
Marcus lost 3 games in charge. And that was
one of them.
York, Featherstone and Leigh. And the Featherstone and Leigh games have been by 50, 56 and 58.
You can't judge you off them games.
Ugly defeats.
And hopefully we're not doing. That's what I'm saying. Because
but if I'm calling you out, Mick, you did. I remember last time we had a go, didn't we? Because you said, I can't believe that. And then you put boot in a bit. Not boot in,
said
not disappointing.
He didn't. Joe's right. He did say that. And Mick's actually, if you're picking up on what he said to start this off, we were poor yesterday defensively. I love that you're being honest from a fan's point of view. But I think what Joe's saying there, he's saying, and Jimmy, is that you can't. If you're not a full supporter, you can go back and say, you can't judge against Leigh. They're going to put 6 on everybody. Yeah. You obviously, no offence, I'm to being honest, that's not true for the fans. The fans still are going to call that, because you did. You started off by saying we were poor there, we did this.
No. I'm trying to be neutral, and I'm just saying, rather than saying we were poor, Bradford were very poor defensively. They conceded 3 soft tries in that first half on the last tackle. It was all runs out of dummy half, straight past static defenders. And Mark quite rightly said, and agreed with my summation, that it felt like they've gone a little bit backward and they've basically, done themselves not so much.
But that question, that's for me, that's down to what we said earlier. If players go into a game and they're thinking, here we go, let's just get through this, or let me try and have a great performance to show, what I can do, or if I'm trying to get a contract, and then that's one thing. But you can see why so many players are going into games against Leigh and Fev, rightly or wrongly, and probably just not having the focus. And yet, Batley showed last week, if you do focus and stick with it,
totally agree.
You never know.
What I will say on Leigh Centurions, I didn't get to see Derek yesterday, unfortunately, or Derek might say, fortunately. That Leigh side, wow. I've seen him a few times in the flesh. I think Adrian Lamb's side yesterday completed at about 70-75%. They'd made 9 errors come full time, and they'd given Bradford 7 penalties and a couple of set restarts. That wasn't Leigh at their best, and they've still put 56 points on a Bradford side that is up till yesterday, they'd won 4 of the last 5, and that was their best form of the season to date. They'd gone to Whitehaven and put 30, Widnes and put 30, Sheffield and put 30, which are not easy places to go, and put 30 points on the opposition.
Like they said, I think it is they are a Super League team, aren't they? They've signed up a lot of the Aussies who didn't want to get vaccinated early when that mattered early on at the season. They've come over, they've spent big. Their issues obviously just going to be. I think without touch wood, their only issue is going to be which ones they pick out of the Aussies to keep in it. That's going to be that. They'll put them money into the
and I'm sure there's a rumour around that if Adrian Lamb does stay, and I don't know if that's been done yet, but I'm sure like his son's coming.
Yes.
Who's the young halfback from Australia?
Yes.
So he would be one of the overseas.
Well, Adrian is staying, and so is Chester. I think they've done 3-year deals. Derek wants to build.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Derek wants to build.
They've signed the hooker, haven't they, to Ipape.
Edwin Ipape, amazing. I mean, you start with Aaron Smith. You start with Aaron Smith, who is very, very good, learnt under Justin Holbrook and Christian Wolfe, and obviously he'll get his chance to shine at St Helens, I'm sure. When James Roby obviously retires, we know James Roby's going to go again next year, and he's going to get the double testimonial, and quite rightly, thoroughly deserved for James Roby. But, it's just a game plan that Adrian Lamb has come up with, because you've got Aaron Smith there, and like I say, the minute he comes off and Ipape comes on, wow. I don't know much about cars, but if we're talking about trains,
your train,
you'd be taking off. It's like taking off an Intercity and putting on a Japanese Bullet, because that speed difference. It's like you've dealt with Aaron Smith for 30 minutes and it has been bang, 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 and then Ipape comes on, and then that is it. You strew them gaps, and that is why when Mark Dunning says, no disrespectful to Featherstone and Toronto and any other championship team that is seen, that Leigh Centurions team is the best ever in the championship, and I totally agree.
Well, that was my quote from a month ago.
No, but that Leigh Centurions team, Craig, I'd call it now. I think I said they'd be middle. I think they'd be playoffs. That Leigh Centurions team would be playoffs.
Let me stop you. Mick, let me just stop you there. I'm going to give a special rap to we get told.
I think it's. I'm still putting them Lower. I'm putting them lower.
No, I don't
over
think
over the course
Blake
of the season.
Ferguson, Christian Inu,
but there's one thing you've got to think about, and maybe I'm going a bit deep, but if we're going to make statements like that, when they're playing against the lower end of a championship and the bodies aren't getting hammered, when Blake Ferguson and others have to go up against top quality opposition every week, will they grind down a bit? I'm going to stick with 8th. Around there, I'm not having them as a top 4 team.
No, it's a top 4. It's a top 6.
Could they get into top 6? Maybe. But over the course of the season, I think I'd stick with teams who've got proof that they can do it.
I'm going to special mention, Mick. I'll let you do it because you can build it up. But we don't seem to get to Champ 1 a bit, and we don't seem to talk about it a lot. But I think that's one of the results. Give your old mate
second half performance.
Give your old mate Mick a plug here.
Yeah, Carl Hall. I actually watched that result come in because I don't know if you can remember, Craig. I'm going to make this point. You know, you reckoned it weren't home and nose with Keighley. You thought Swinton. I think
it was me. It
was Jimmy who said Swinton. Now that's opened up a 6-point gap now for Keighley. That's Keighley up automatically. We know Keighley have signed Trout. We know there's more people coming in at Keighley, a couple more Super League players for next year, full steam ahead. But let's just give Doncaster and Richard Horn, an amazing rap for what is going on down there, and also Carl Hall. If you're watching the show, Carl, you know, to go to Wayward Road, Swinton Lions, they're arguably, you know, the second most fancied side behind Keighley. You know, to go up through the playoffs, and all of a sudden you've just got Doncaster, who I think have won.
They're on form though.
They are on form. I agree. They're on form. I think they've won 4 of the last 5.
Yeah.
But they have picked off Hunsley. They have picked off Rochdale. They've picked up
hammered Midlands. Albeit a week and
Doncaster are picking off teams in and around them. And like I think I said last week, Jimmy, you know, these are all psychological wins because Doncaster, if they are to join. He's not phoning you to say he's going to Bradford and he wants some players to come. I'm only joking. Covering it up. Craig saying it. But, you know, when you look at that result yesterday, I don't know what Swinton are spending. I'd say considerably more than probably what Doncaster are. But look, to go to Wayward Road with 26-12 and that second half performance, you know, 20 unanswered points, look.
Yeah, great.
And like you say,
Did you
cover Cornwall with getting the first win?
Yeah, we did it last week. Yeah. When's it
and Harry Harrington's coming on the show next week.
Oh, is he? Oh, nice.
Well, you can do a different content on that, so you can do
it
to me, Harry.
But I mean,
I spoke to a couple of the players involved in that from both sides, and that was very much. It sounded like Doncaster won nearly every challenge in that game. They were really up for it, and I think Swinton, arguably a couple of players short, but maybe went into it a little bit too easy, and it just shows that there's still 6 teams in there who can really mix it up like it showed last year. That Cal will be buzzing this morning. He'll be going playoffs. We can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And that's it. Brilliant. My phone's gone.
Oh, screen's gone.
It was already gone. But
really exciting in that league. Really exciting.
I agree. And you know, you look at your Rochdales, Hunsley, North Wales. Obviously, have had a bit of a stuttery form, but they'll Anthony Murray will turn that round. But you know that top 6, who's going to join Keighley in the Championship next year, is absolutely fascinating because on the day. You know, Hunsley, North Wales, they can beat anyone, and that's what's really competitive. And like I say, we know Rochdale have got a couple of your younger players on loan, and then we know I think Rochdale are going to perhaps look at things a little bit different next year. I'm led to believe Rochdale are probably going to go even younger.
I think
they're going to go younger from what Andy Mays has told me.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to go younger. Hopefully for Andy and Matt Calland in the Championship, but. You know, Doncaster, Swinton. I tell you what, you can't call that, and that's when you're talking about unpredictable rugby league.
And even Midlands, everyone who plays get Midlands say they are tough. They are so good in the middle. You know, they can. Yes, it'd be more of an upset, but there's still all to play for that. The playoffs are going to be brilliant.
What playoffs top 6 in Champ 1?
Yeah, it's the.
I think big call Midlands, to be fair. That's a big call.
That's Jimmy.
I'm saying they're the ones they can still, as we've shown this year, they can still beat one of those teams. You know, if they can,
yeah, but they're not going to get near the playoffs, I don't think, will they?
Well, how far are they off? 6?
So Punslet are on 13 points, Midlands are on 6.
Oh, is it that big?
Yeah.
I think with Oldham's defeat to Keighley last week, I think your top 6 is locked in.
Yeah.
And the final 10 games of the season is all going to be about who goes where and who will go to where.
Yeah, the home ties are huge.
The home ties are huge,
but last year,
but whether or not Carl and Richard admit it, that is a huge psychological advantage for them.
Yeah,
you know, they've gone there, and there is a chance Doncaster might have to go to Swinton in the playoff final, you know, to win promotion back up to the championship. But listen, it's going to be a fantastic end to the season there.
Oh yeah,
and the championship as well. I
think the League One, that playoff in the League One could be the most exciting we've got coming up in rugby league. If you're into all facets of rugby, all leagues, that's probably going to be the most, because like you said, 2 to 6, Swinton, Hunslet, there's not much between any of them, and then like you said, probably championship, because only one goes up. I'll be the one to say I'm losing a bit of interest in that one. I think Leigh have signed the paper.
Yeah. I mean, Featherstone had a good win against Newcastle on Saturday night. You know, again, Mark Campbell sticking by McDermott. A couple of players have been loaned out. And
sticking by. I said this last week. It's a ridiculous comment.
Well, no, not sticking by.
Second in the league is twice. And we're sticking by.
I wouldn't say sticking by then, Craig. I'd say standing firm.
There was rumours.
And rightly so.
There was rumours that there'd been something in the changing room and a senior player had said this and that, and I spoke to a Featherstone player who said it's utter nonsense. Absolutely no truth in it whatsoever. So
it had the speeding fine, hadn't it, which was a bit of a distraction, but I guess everybody sometime...
Speeding fine's a distraction?
Well, I don't know. His name was plastered in Pontefract Express.
I don't think anyone would be able to work with Dad if that was a distraction.
Oh, nice.
Is that why you were on the train to St Helens, Craig?
Well, I'm certainly not in the train now. I'm back on the dance floor. But by the way, the Show Me Company car's just been took off Mr. Mouth.
Lost privilege.
Wrap this up now, mate, because I want to do a quick one afterwards, but come on.
Yeah, no, listen, we've got the Magic Weekend this weekend in Newcastle. We've got
a box. I've just got it.
He's got a box. Have we?
Well, we have.
Listen, I'm fine. I'll just
stand below box, but just throw chicken legs down it.
You can pass me food on a plate. Oh, Joe, how good was that food last year?
Very good, wasn't it? I can't believe it's been a year since then. That's massive.
Well, let me just say, by the way.
Let
me just say what he's just said. The reason I'm going to get my own back on you with the food, if you do stand below us, is me and Mick once commentated at Bradford. And I never forgive him ever for what he did to me. We were starving. It's red hot in that hut. We was in the hut. And I looked, and at half time, I've never seen Mick exit as quick. He went bang, drop shoulder. In fact, he was best step a day. And I seen him running, and I thought, I'm looking out that window, and I seen him at the banquet suite. Now, I didn't know that for commentating, Mick must get a plate full of food. So I looked round, and I sees him, and I thought, what's he doing? And he sat, and I'm watching him. But I'm thinking he's obviously going to bring back for us to share. We've got about 2 minutes. He comes back, plate empty. I had to start the commentary because he was wiping his gob from sausage rolls. And then he just hit it running and looked at me and went, what's the matter, show me? And I went, you've asked me to commentate. It's red hot. You've just ate 200 vol-au-vents in 4 seconds outside the cabin so I didn't get none. And then he just carried on talking. He went, show me, they want none for you.
I don't quite remember it like that, but Craig, if you're feeling, I'll yeah.
There you go.
But no, look, it's the Magic Weekend at Newcastle. I still say it, the biggest game of the weekend for mine is going to be Wakefield against Toulouse. Don't forget tasty games as well with the whole derby with Tony Smith, Danny McGuire, Brett Hodgson under pressure.
Leeds Cas, 4-point playoff game.
You've got St Helens and Wigan, the fourth derby of the year. No love lost between those two after what happened at Ellen Road in the semi-final. Another round from the Championship.
Saints Wigan, surely, Saints Wigan with with the implications there, because they're both Saints have been faltering a bit now, haven't they?
A few players out and struggling a bit.
Huddersfield, Salford to start Sunday. Ian Watson against his former club.
Yeah.
Salford playing really well. Yeah. A good win against Warrington yesterday.
I think Salford have been my team. I think if you
Ryan Braley on fire, absolutely. Callum Watkins, Ryan Braley, absolutely.
If you're a bookmakers, how could you put money on Salford? Because they either lose and you're like, well, how have they lost that, or they either had these amazing wins and they're up down.
But Vidad, leading up to that,
if they pull off some consistency, they could cause some damage.
Well, when they got that big win the other week, Vidad, they'd lost a lot of games, but you look at the scores and they were fighting. You know, they've been in a lot of games against top opposition. So,
yeah.
And we'll wrap it up on that note. Food's arriving.
What the hell was that?
That was my... I hope they haven't picked that up. That was my belly rumbling, because I've just seen...
Pick that up in Cardiff.
I've just seen the sandwiches. Wrap it up.
He spotted sandwich from 40 yards.
That's how ugly I am.
Look, it's the full 80 minutes. Show me the money, Rugby League TV. Thank you very much for supporting us. We'll be back next week.
Harry Aronson guest.
Yeah, we're going to do a Cornwall special next week.
We'll do a bit before the show.
Don't call it a Cornwall special, because we might have something lined up for later. We'll just bring Harry on.
We'll do a separate bit with Harry.
We've got something in the works for later.
Mary bless her. She's come with a bag of sandwiches, and I'm looking at them now. I'm licking my lips. His belly's
Do not let him cut that out, Sam.
Right. Good afternoon. God bless. We'll be back next week.